welcome to the Wayfaring Panda. I'm Annette. Today I'm participating in a YouTube hop called Rainbow Crush, and it's put on by Tara, who is the paper snob. Usually each month she'll pick one color, and then we try to do our scrapbook page with at least 70% of that color. Today the color is rainbow, so of course we can use more than one color. I'm also participating in the Sketchathon of the Disney Scrappers, which is a private group, and we have different sketches for the whole month to do. So I'm doing one of their alternate sketches, which shows some strips of paper going down vertically. So I decided I wanted to do some watercolor behind the paper strips, and I'm using my Distress ink to do the watercolors, and of course I'm going to do that in rainbow order. Now, in rainbow colors, normally you would have 7 different colors, but I'm going to be using 6 because it shows using 6 different colors. Plus, I don't have multiple shades of blue or purple of the paper. I am planning on overlapping the colors of the watercolor so that way we get some blends, but I wanted to put the tape down just so I don't go too far over because I need to make sure I have room for all 6 colors. For my first color, I'm using Candied Apple, so I just smush that onto my glass mat and use water and a brush to watercolor that onto my paper. For the next color, I used Spice Marmalade, but then I decided that wasn't orange enough. It has more yellow in it, so then I switched to Carved Pumpkin. With this first paintbrush, I kept getting bristles to come off and then have to get it out of the paint. And also, I decided I didn't really like the look with the tape I was using. I was getting too much of a line, and I couldn't get a more organic look of blending the different colors. It was hard to get rid of that line after I moved the tape. So I quit using the tape and just I had some little pencil lines that I had just done at the edge of the paper, so I just used that as my guide. For yellow, I'm using Mustard Seed Distress ink. I think it's somewhere in here where I do change paintbrushes. I got several of them out because I wasn't sure which one would work better, and I keep them all together, so I couldn't really tell which one I've used for watercolors and which ones I've used for like my Perfect Pearls, which I really need to keep those separate. In any case, I did switch to one that said Ranger, and that one worked better than the first one. At least I didn't have as many bristles coming off it as I did with the first paintbrush. If you wanted to use less colors but still have all the colors of the rainbow, you could, of course, shift on the red and the yellow and overlap them more so that you would still have a strip of orange. For the green, I'm using Mowed Lawn. Now, for this paper, I'm using watercolor paper that comes 12 by 12. And if you shop at some of the big stores, you can always get it like when they have a sale. A lot of times they'll have a sale on their paper packs or use a 40% off coupon, depending what store you shop at and if they have coupons. Now, for some reason, on the green, there's some splotches at the top, and then it came on some of the other colors too. So I don't know if that's because I have mixed water in with the paint and some of it's darker than others or what. I don't do a lot of painting, so I'm not really an expert with watercolor, and I didn't really care because I'm going to be covering a lot of it up with paper, and also it makes it look like it was hand painted instead of printed on a computer. The last 3 colors of the rainbow, of course, would be blue, indigo, and violet. So I'm just really doing blue and what I guess is violet and not do indigo, although it will be a little bit because of the combination of the 2 colors together. I'll probably get that. So on this one, I actually had some Distress ink Reinker, so I'm using that. And this is Faded Jeans. For my final color, I'm using Dusty Concord, which is my purple, and I did have a Reinker of this. So if you're like me and don't do a lot of painting and don't consider you're an artist, this is really simple to do, and I think it's kind of fun. And you don't have to even have watercolors. A lot of us do have Distress ink, but you can use watercolors or watercolored pencils or watercolored markers, whatever you have, to do this technique. Now I know I do have more color towards the right hand side than I do on the left, but the sketch shows the paper kind of coming over further on the right hand side than on the left. I decided I didn't like this dark white on the sides, so I'm using my fan brush to splatter on some of the purple ink. I moved my tape so I can do some splattering on the left hand side, and I used the red ink for that. I don't know if you'll be able to tell on the video, but I got quite a bit of red splatter on the left, and also it got onto some of the colors, especially the red, orange, and yellow. I don't remember if any got on the green, but I thought it would look good to add some blue over to the right hand side. I got my red ink out again because the strip of red is a little bit too thin, and also I wanted to try to soften the lines that I started with. I cut out 6 different gingham papers from Simple Stories Vintage Essentials color palette, and of course I matched the ink to those. And I'm going around the red one with my red ink, and I'll do the other ones off screen, so I'll go around all of my papers with the coordinating ink just to tie everything together. I had a little bit of a fiasco after I stopped filming on the previous section, and what happened is I decided, since I was going to be letting the paper dry, I'd take my camera off and take it upstairs to download to my computer while I was inking the papers. And I guess I didn't have a good hold of my camera, and it fell onto my table. Thank goodness the camera's still working. But it knocked over the water that I hadn't cleaned up yet and spilled all over my papers. Thank goodness it only got the red gingham wet. So it is dry now, but it is a little bit wrinkly. But I decided, since I was adding glue, we'll just go with it and glue it down. And I think it worked out anyway. And you may see some water splotches, especially over where the purple is. But okay, at least it was watercolored. So the paper did dry and my camera's still working. So okay, it wasn't what I planned, but everything worked out. The sketch I'm using came from the Disney Scrappers group. We're having a sketch-a-thon, so there's a sketch for each day, and then some alternates as well as some extra ones for if you're an upgraded member. So I don't believe I'm allowed to share the sketches. It's from Susan Stringfellow. She does have sketches that are out there on the internet, and I believe some of them are out in the public. So you could look her up if you want. She does have really nice sketches. In any case, on this sketch, it shows 6 strips of paper where you put one on top and one below, and then it's kind of like a stair step up and down. So when I saw this sketch, I thought, well, there's 6 colors, so I can use those all different colors for the rainbow. And then I came up with the idea of doing the watercolor behind it. Now this collection is more than a year old, so I don't know that you'll find it out there. If it is at like scrapbook.com or somewhere like that, I'll put a link to it. But I do know that Simple Stories does put out a lot of gingham paper, so you may find some out there that may not be in this collection, but another one. I'm sure there's other companies that put out rainbow type collections, so I'm sure you'll be able to get some paper that you can do this idea with a rainbow. On the sketch, it shows putting a letter in each of the spaces to spell out the title. So I decided that was great because I'm doing some parade pictures, and parade has 6 letters. So I also decided to do the letters in rainbow color, which is a great way to use your stickers if you don't have all the same color. And then I just had to look through to see which order to do it in, that I had the letters where it would land, so, and also the letters would show up on those colors. So I decided reverse order ended up working, where I had all the letters, because some of the letters I don't have R's and some I don't have A's. I matted my photos in red and blue since those colors are already on the layout. And these are from A Parade at Disneyland. The one with the swan has Snow White and Cinderella, and then the other one has Belle. Now the sketch showed putting some patterned paper or some type of paper behind the right hand photos, so I just used some of the coordinating paper. This is actually what's the gingham on the other side, and it actually has some words in French, so I thought that would be perfect for Belle. And I decided to go with the blue paper because I have more of that, and there's blue in both of the photos. I used mounting squares to attach my photos to the layout and Nuvo Deluxe glue to attach the paper. The sketch shows putting a scallop border underneath the photo on the left-hand side, so I decided I would use a sticker from the designer sticker book, Simple Vintage Essentials Color Palette, which is the same collection I've been working with, and that kind of resembles scallops. And I thought that would be great because it goes with the paper that I have over on the right. The sketch shows building 2 different clusters on the page, so I decided I wanted to use this word sticker from the sticker sheet because it says "See the Belle," which I thought would be perfect because of Belle from Beauty and the Beast. At first I thought about putting it above Belle, which is where one of the clusters is supposed to be, but I thought the orange color looked better over on the left-hand side, so I used it for that cluster. Then I pick a butterfly and a flower from the sticker book to finish up that orange cluster over on the left. I had a hard time deciding whether to do red or blue cluster above Belle, but I decided to do the red so it would contrast with the blue up above, as well as I wanted to use a red flower because the red rose. So I use a flower and then also a butterfly and a little tab sticker to make my cluster. Now I wasn't thinking about it, but I should have put the butterfly going the other way so it would be going into the layout, and I did try to change it, but these stickers really did stick. Usually they don't stick that much that quickly, so I just left it there because it was going to tear the paper if I tried to take it up. I decided it needed a little bit of more embellishment on the page, so I got my pops of color out and I added 3 drops of orange squeeze around the orange cluster, and then I used cherry pie around the red cluster, and then I used the same 2 colors as well as a blue called Royal Blue around each of the letters. Now you'll see me moving the papers, so I found what happens best is if you squeeze just a little drop of this onto your paper and then flick your finger underneath, that flattens them out. I'll put a list of all the products that I'm using in the description below. Some of these will be affiliate links. They don't cost you anything extra to use, but I do get a small commission from any sales that the links generate, and that helps support my channel. As I mentioned earlier, this is part of a YouTube hop, so I'll have that playlist, a link at the end of this video as well as in the description, so you can hop along and see what everyone else did with rainbow colors. I think it's fun seeing how everyone uses the same thing and what everyone does with it. And there's so many talented creators. I'm sure you'll get some inspiration and ideas to use on your scrapbook pages. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like. And if you're not already a subscriber, I'd really appreciate if you can subscribe to the channel. Thank you and have a wonderful day.